My story starts off in May of 2021. God set me up to do this. It was a weekend. We were at the lake, and it was just me. My son typically is with me, and I was getting the boat ready for the boating season for that summer. I jumped in and out of my boat 100 times. And through that day, I kept noticing, gosh, my knee is killing me. I didn't think a whole lot about it. You know, I'm 58 years old, aches and pains are kind of just a part of my life. And so I kept working, kept jumping in and out of the boat. And that night, we were sitting down and I told Carol, I said, hey, my knee is really hurting. It's almost at the point that it's hard for me to walk. And she said, well, you're gonna have to, you know, it's probably nothing. Just go see Scott McCall, the orthopedic surgeon, a friend of mine. So I did that, didn't think a lot about it. That next Monday, I worked all day. I had an appointment at 4 o'clock with Scott. So he said, hey, let's get an x-ray. Let's see what's going on with your knee. And we did that. I sat in the room for an unusual amount of time. And I kept thinking, gosh, I'm the only person in here. What's taking so long? And so Dr. McCall came in and he flipped up on the screen in that room, he flipped up the x-ray. Of course, I didn't know what I was looking at. And he said, Harvey, your knee is fine. There's nothing wrong with your knee. But you have a bone lesion on your femur, and I'm really concerned about it. And I said, gosh, do you mean it's like cancer? And he said, yeah, it's only one of two things. It's either a benign tumor or it's a malignant tumor. I mean, those are the only two things, but it's clearly on your femur. And he said, I'm really worried because this tumor is large enough that your leg is gonna break if you don't, if you're not careful. You can't put any weight on this leg anymore because I have a fear that your leg's gonna break. So, man, you talk about a blow to the stomach. I'm by myself. I didn't think it was a big deal. And so I'm faced with this news of cancer or a benign tumor or, you know, something bad. And so I go home that night, Carol and I talk about it, and of course there's a flood of emotion that kind of takes place when you have that kind of news. That's when I started worrying, you know, and that's where my faith really started to be tested, because I kept wanting, my DNA and my body wanted to go back to Harvey taking care of it. Harvey, you can do it. You got to be in control. And I had that constant pull of trying to just letting God take it. So as we were sharing the news of my health issue with my friends, we made the call to Sherry and Kent Freeman in Jackson. And immediately when I was talking to Sherry, she said, Harvey, you're not gonna believe this, but we have a really good friend in our Sunday school class that has multiple myeloma. And she goes to a hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how crazy is that you've got somebody in your Sunday school class that has the same thing that I have? I made the call to this person, her name's Wendy Bowen, and so the first thing that Wendy told me, she said, Harvey, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you other than Kent and Sherry have shared that you have multiple myeloma and you've just found out about it. But what I'm telling you, if you want to live a long time and you want to fight this disease as aggressively as you can, get in your car and drive to Little Rock, Arkansas. I got off the phone And having that conversation with Wendy Bowen on that night, I had this peace that God gave me that was uncanny. And I got off the phone and I told Carol, I said, I know what I'm gonna do. Man, I fell in love with Little Rock, Arkansas and that cancer center, and just Wendy's promotion and her connection to me was just immediate. She's a woman of great faith. We talked about God, we talked about our salvation, we talked about how important it was gonna be for me to have this journey knowing that God had it. He had it for me, and He was gonna take care of me. So a week passed, we've got a lake house in Winchester. We were at the lake house and I had my surgery. I was on a walker. I wanted to get out of the house. I went down to the swimming pool, and one of the other orthopedic surgeons who's in Columbia was at the pool. And he said, hey man, what's going on with you? And I said, well, I told him the story. Well, the guy that was sitting with him, he goes, you're not gonna believe this, but my best friend has multiple myeloma. I want him to talk to you right now. I'm gonna dial him on the phone and I want him to talk to you. His name is Russ Petty. And so Russ gets on the phone with me within 10 minutes of us meeting this guy. And he says, Harvey, I've got multiple myeloma. I'm in year 11 of my journey. And I went to Little Rock, Arkansas to the cancer center. And my doctor was Dr. Van Ree, which is the doctor that Wendy Bowen had. So all these things just start to fit into place. And coming back home that night, I was just, the assurance that I had was, God, you got it. You're putting me in the right place. You're gonna put me with the right doctors. You're gonna put me in the place that you feel like is the best for me. And so it's just a great feeling to have that. And so that again is a part of the journey. It's that search for peace that is so important, that if you get on the other side of peace, it's a terrible place to be. Not having that assurance and not having that peace is something that I had struggled with off and on, because I would have these periods of time that I felt lost. I felt like I was in a hole. I felt like I was in a place that I couldn't get out, and that hope was hard to see. And so that peace was something that I yearned for. I prayed for every day diligently. God, give me peace through this day. Just let me get through today, and let me just worry about today. Let me just think about what are we going to accomplish today. And so that became a part of my life. It's that day-to-day kind of process. And that's the way I have to live today, because I don't have the assurance that tomorrow will come. I've had so many people over the last 9 months who've prayed for me. I feel those prayers. I mean, I physically feel the prayers of those who have been surrounding me. But one special person that I want to take note of is my wife, Carol. So when all this started, just her comforting me and being my soulmate and being all the things that you would think somebody that is married needs to have, she's been there for me. And so that's been an important part of this journey, is not only having her support, but her as a caregiver. And so one of the things that people lose sight of are those who care for those who have illnesses like what I've got. And Carol basically set everything aside in her life to care for me for the last year. And so I just want to honor her for what she's done for me, and she's been there every single step that I've taken in this journey. I've struggled with having that peace, being able to be in a good place in my faith. As I look at these last months, and I look at how has my faith grown, it's exponential. There is no way for me to measure how deep my faith has grown over these last few months. You know, when you're faced with your mortality, it's you and God. That's it. Everybody around you who's praying for you, everybody that's in your family, as much and as close as they can get to you, there's still a place that it's just you and God. It's God stepping in and saying, Harvey, I've got this. You don't need to worry. Let's make it through today. I've got a plan, and my plan is so much better than anything that you could ever dream in your mind. He's put me in a place and time that there's a purpose, and I want to live that purpose out.